Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So, Kaldheim spoiler season is just around the corner. I think it's about a week or so out at this point. January 7th, I believe, is the very first day of the official spoiler season, although we've had previous spoilers and whatnot. But anyways, this morning we've got yet another exciting potential spoiler, which showed up on Reddit. And again, I do say potential because it has not been officially confirmed with Battle Mammoth. And yes, that's the actual name. It's not a joke. That is the actual name, potential name, I guess, of the card. Straight into the point, though. But yeah, basically, Battle Mammoth, and again, this is just a mock-up. The actual card has not been spoiled, so there's just a kind of a blurry-ish image, so I just threw in a mock-up. Anyways, regardless, Battle Mammoth is a 6/5 elephant with trample that costs 3 green. Has whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. And then we've got Foretell, and this is the first time that we've seen Foretell on a card, or the actual mechanic, and it is Foretell 2 green. During your turn, you may pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down, cast it on a later turn for its Foretell cost. So this card, pretty good. Obviously, green gets all the things, right? A 6/5 for 5 with trample that also draws you cards when things that you have are targeted by opponents. And then, yes, Foretell, this new mechanic, and we'll let's dig into that and really talk about how good this mechanic is, or kind of what applications it might have. Basically, it seems like a way to get a slight discount on a card over time. Obviously, overall, you're paying more mana for this. You pay 2 at first, to foretell it, I guess, and get it away. And then you basically, pay that Foretell cost, 2 green. So that's 6 mana in total, which is, 1 more than your 5. But, it's 4 mana during 1 turn versus 5 mana for a turn. So you kind of get a discount again, but this, Wizards has been kind of going in this direction to kind of give players more options on what to do with their cards. So you're kind of not sitting with dead cards in your hand. Let's say you never hit, 5 lands in a game of Standard or whatnot. You essentially have a way to, turn 2, get rid of this, because you don't need it at that point, and you've got mana to dump into it. And then, turn 4 or whatnot, get it out. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing more and more of these Foretell cards, as it does seem to be a main new mechanic of the upcoming set with Kaldheim. And we actually have already seen in one of the, I believe, the Commander precons for that set with Renar the Ever-Watchful does mention Foretell. So we're going to see probably other cards that kind of interact with Foretell. Renar the Ever-Watchful has the first card you foretell each turn costs 0 to foretell. So now that basically that 2 just becomes 0. And I do believe that probably that foretell cost is always going to be 2, or actually the cost to exile from your hand is probably always going to be 2 throughout all the cards. And then the foretell cost will vary depending on the card actually casting it later. But yeah, basically Renar lets you cast it for free, at least 1 per turn. And then basically, whenever you exile 1 or more cards from your hand and or permanents in the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So now when you foretell, you also get a bird. Cool. But basically, I'm sure there's going to be other cards in this set that deal with, whenever you foretell cards or whenever cards are exiled from your hand, and so on and so forth. So there are going to be other applications. Again, we'll have to see, when those spoilers come out, kind of what those applications might be. But again, let's dig a little bit deeper into kind of these, I guess, again, this pattern of giving players kind of more options, or kind of trying to ensure that there aren't dead cards in your hand. Balaged Recovery, Balaged Sanctuary is an example of one of the MDFC's modal dual face cards, I believe is what they're called. But basically kind of a card that has 2 sides to it, and either one that you can use. Basically, one side is a sorcery, 2 and a green, return target card from your graveyard to your hand, and one side is a land that enters tapped and it taps for a green. So essentially, you have options. Basically, there are other cards, and we've seen so far that are either, a land on each side, depending on what land you need. There are, ones that are sorcery on one side, or an instant on one side, and then a land on the other side. And we've also seen from one of the other spoilers in Kaldheim with one of the gods, which is an equipment on one side and a creature on the other. So MDFCs are a way to kind of give players that kind of functionality and that kind of flexibility when it comes to their card. Another kind of recent example comes from Throne of Eldraine with Beanstalk Giant and these kind of adventure cards. Basically, you can cast it as a creature, or you can cast it for its adventure cost first. Essentially, it's a sorcery adventure. 2 and a green, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So yeah, that kind of basically, you cast it as an adventure first, and it goes on its little adventure, and then later on you can cast it for its actual cost and get it out as a creature. So it's kind of a dual functionality with that as well. This one, obviously, you don't get a discount when it comes to actually getting the card out, but it does kind of have that, you know, if you want to cast it for its adventure first, you can do that, and then you've got the option to cast it later as a creature. So somewhat similar to that Foretell. Again, I think we're going to see more and more of these mechanics that kind of give that flexibility to players. An older mechanic that is kind of reminiscent of Foretell a little bit is Suspend. So Suspend 2 on Search for Tomorrow basically means you pay the green, and then instead of casting it, you exile it. You put 2 suspend counters on it, or time counters on it, and then basically you just take 1 off each turn, and then you cast it for free at the end of that. Now, again, Foretell, you're not casting for free. You do have to pay the 2 first, and then you pay its Foretell cost to actually cast the card. But again, it's kind of similar where you're investing in this early and then maybe getting a discount on it later. Somewhat similar. Another potential mechanic that Foretell might remind players of is the Morph mechanic, like on Crows and Colossus. It's a 9/9 for 6 green, so 9 mana in total. It's got a Morph cost of 6 green. You basically just cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3. You turn it face up at any time for its Morph cost. Somewhat similar. Again, you are putting it face down when you are foretelling, although it's not going onto the battlefield as a creature. But yeah, like Morph, you are getting a slight discount, essentially, for getting it out. I mean, overall, not, again, you have to add up the total cost. But again, on the turn that you actually want to get it out, you are getting that slight discount. So we'll see, again, with the more and more Foretell cards that come out, kind of how big those discounts are. Is it always going to be a discount? Are you going to get some kind of effect when you do Foretell? We'll see. Let's go over the actual card and its effect again. Whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. That's pretty reminiscent in almost the exact same text as Shaper's Sanctuary, an enchantment for a green. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Literally, the only thing I believe that is changed right there is permanent versus creature. So this applies to all your permanents, which is great. Again, so if your opponents try to remove any of your things with targeted removal, or try to do anything essentially to your things, except for, mass removal, they're going to have to allow you to draw a card, or give you the option to draw a card, I should say. Now, Shaper Sanctuary doesn't see all that much play. I believe it's in about maybe 1% of decks. But there are definitely some decks out there that might want to use Battle Mammoth. Again, it is a decent-sized creature for its cost. So, maybe a creature-heavy deck could use it, or even something like a Joriel Munvali. I can never say that name right. Munvali. Recluse, basically kind of giving you a benefit whenever you draw your second card each turn. So again, this is another way on a creature to help, draw you cards whenever your things are targeted. So we'll see. Again, I think the most exciting thing about this card is just kind of seeing what that Foretell effect is, or what that Foretell mechanic does, essentially. And again, the more and more cards that we see come out, the more and more kind of interactions with Foretell that we're going to see. But yeah, that's my take on the card. So now it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on Battle Mammoth are. I guess, again, I should say the potential card, Battle Mammoth. Again, this is a potential spoiler, not official yet. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks again and have a good one.